Alright gang, it's that time of the year. SO-AVANT-GARDE is doing their 30% off promotion this weekend. Just for followers of this channel, they do one of these once a quarter, once every season I should say. And this is the winter edition. I've got 12 fragrances I'm going to talk to you about today. And it's most of the fragrances on the SO-AVANT-GARDE website, not all. Just be warned, it's not on the Mind Games website. But also, we've got 3 fragrances that I'm going to speak to you about today that were recently featured in the Scent Club Mystery Box number 5. Those are also on sale right now, 30% off until Monday. Find out about these fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian. I'm talking about the SO-AVANT-GARDE winter promotion. 30% off their entire store except for Mind Games and a few other exceptions. So it's not on everything. Definitely on the ones that I'm talking about today and all the brands that I'm talking about today, but definitely not on all of them. But they do this once a year. As I said, it's Sebastian 30% off for fragrances I'm going to talk to you about and some of the other fragrances from these houses and other houses as well. Just as I said, Mind Games is not, and a few other brands are also not part of the promotion. So normally it's Sebastian 10. Every other time of the year you get 10% off, but this weekend, today until Monday 12 midnight New York East Coast time I should say, it's 30% off with the code Sebastian30. So I've got some new fragrances in here that I haven't ever spoken about, and also 3 of the fragrances that were in the recent mystery box. They're featured here at 30% off as well, so if you were eyeing those, now's your chance to get them at 30% off rather than the 10% off promotion that I will probably speak about coming Sunday when I do my discounts video of all the fragrances in the last or latest mystery box. So let's get started. The first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is the long-standing series of fragrances from a designer house, a men's suits designer house called BRIONI. This is the latest edition. It's EDP or Eau de Parfum SUAVE. So I really love this collection of men's fragrances, and I think it's one of the best designer fragrances for men. I should say the whole entire series doesn't disappoint. I know there's some that are better than others, but they're all definitely really wearable fragrances. Modern, but not necessarily smelling of other designer fragrances. So that's what I really like about them. Most of the fragrances are created by Michel Almairac, who works with Robertet. But with this fragrance, we've also got Romain Almairac, which is Michel Almairac's son. And then we've got Jerome Epinette here as well. So 3 perfumers working on one fragrance, a flanker to the wonderful series BRIONI EDP. So this has notes of pink pepper, leather, amber, cardamom, vetiver, sandalwood, mandarin. I feel like this is mostly a leather fragrance, spicy with the pink pepper overdose. Eventually it settles to the amber, of course. But I feel like when I'm wearing it also, it does give me some reminders or hints of the very first BRIONI EDP, which was a violet leaves balm. It was very fresh and ozonic. We've got a little bit of that here, but mostly this is a very deep, slightly animalic leather fragrance with ambery touches and not only warm spices, but also fresh spices in here as well. So I think this is the most daring out of the entire series, and really do enjoy it. If you're thinking this might smell like anything like ombre leather or something like that, it doesn't to me. Noses are different, they pick up different things. But try this one out if you're into leather and you like men's designer fragrances. It's BRIONI EDP or Eau de Parfum SUAVE, the latest release from that house. Definitely, I highly recommend that house. If you're looking for a new men's series of fragrances, I believe that's the 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Maybe that's the 6th one. I'm drawing a blank, but I'll write down in the info box. But moving on to the first fragrance that was in the mystery box recently. This is AKIGALA Mandarino from the house of New Notes. And if you recall, I did a reveal video of the fragrances in the latest mystery box. I mentioned this does remind me a little bit of Ganymede. But for me, it's a very juicy, pulpy take on Ganymede. Perfectly for something that's, appropriate to wear when it's warm outside. But I think you can wear this all year round. It has deep notes along with that kind of very juicy, sweet, tart mandarin orange note in here that gives you a very fresh, invigorating quality. So it's AKIGALA wood, amber, mandarin, jasmine, lily of the valley, freesia, raspberry, apple. So it's got fruitiness and things like that. It does remind you of, the fragrances of Quinton Biche. But again, that mandarin orange note. So refreshing in this, so invigorating, so juicy, very pulpy. You experience that. Just imagine if Ganymede, you know, had a baby with a mandarin orange or something. That's what you get with this. And it's kind of the advertising of this series of fragrances, or this particular fragrance as well. So this is AKIGALA Mandarino. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Up next, a fragrance from a house I have never spoken about on the channel, but I've been noticing this fragrance house at J.U.S in Paris for a while. And also a fragrance or perfume shop in Florence. I recently was there as well, and I saw this house. It's called MORPH, and the fragrance I'm talking about is TONKATONIC, this one right here. Are you familiar with TONKATONIC? So this does have a light reminder of something like Blanche Bête by the House of Liquid Imaginaire. If you're thinking it's going to be a dupe, for me it's not. It's very musky and also milky lactonic, but it's overdosed with tonka and almonds, giving you that kind of bitter almondy effect, almost like marzipan. Whereas the Blanche Bête didn't have that experience. But once you remove the tonka and the almonds, you get that kind of milky kind of an effect in here, but also musky. But it's really, really delicious. This is created by Matthew Nardin, featuring notes of tonka beans, almonds, sandalwood, Spanish jasmine, orange blossom, ambrette seeds, benzoin resinoid, coconut water, and figs. If you're into gourmands, if you like milky, lactonic, nutty fragrances, you're really going to enjoy this one. And again, if you like Blanche Bête and you're looking for something more almondy, try this one. I think it'll satisfy. Just keep in mind, it's bitter. I've had plenty of bitter almonds in my lifetime, and so that flavor translates to smell, and it's very appropriate here in this fragrance. So this is TONKATONIC. Also, I think if you are a fan of tonka beans, you should definitely try that one. But moving on to the house of J.U.S. This is SPRITZLOVE, or SPRITZLOVE, I should say. So this is a fragrance house that's kind of under the radar. Not many people talk about it, and they do have some gems here and there from this house, and this is definitely one of them. For me, it's a very fresh take on a vetiver type fragrance with oud wood thrown in as well. So if you like the idea of fresh, citrusy vetiver fragrances, but with some depth thrown in as well, you definitely should check it out, because it almost seems like it has two sides. It has the oud and the saffron in here, creates an ambery effect when it's drying down. It has citruses like, it has a note called Venetian cocktail. So I believe it's almost like an Aperol spritz or something. So there's a bit of an effervescence in here, but you've got the depth and the grassy woodiness from the vetiver, and then you've got slight spicy, leathery touches of the saffron, and of course the oud in here as well. Very unusual, but very perfectly made. I think it wears really nicely, and you get that reminder of the Venetian cocktail, which I'm assuming it's something like Aperol Spritz, because I get a little bit of orangey, sparkling effervescence in here. But it's a really wonderful take on a freshie with some depth. If you think freshie fragrances or fresh fragrances do not last, you're definitely going to want to check this one out, because not only does it have those fresh notes, effervescent notes, or the effervescent experience, but you have some deep and intense notes like the oud and the vetiver and the saffron as well. So this is J.U.S. SPRITZLOVE from the house of J.U.S. And up next, going to the house of AFFINESSENCE, this is VANILLE-BENJOIN, this one right here. So I haven't spoken much about this house as well. I know there are some fans. And I'm a lover of vanilla and also benjoin or benzoin. And this is the two together. Wonderful combo, explosive combo. Benzoin or benjoin is a resin, but it's on the sweet side. They usually do combine it with a lot of vanilla fragrances or vanilla notes or vanillic notes, and also amber resinous notes as well. Here it creates a amber vanilla experience that's to die for delicious. So it's Tahitian vanilla, Madagascar vanilla, Siamese benzoin, tonka beans, Moroccan cedar, ambroxan, and leather. It does ride down to a faint leather here, but mostly it's a vanillic amber, so it's an amber vanilla fragrance. I did a video of amber vanilla fragrances recently. This would have fit perfectly in that video, because you've got the vanilla and you've got the ambery touches of the benzoin, which is basically what's creating that kind of ambery experience. It does have a bit of a Guerlain-esque kind of a vibe for me, not smelling like anything Guerlain-esque, but you know, Guerlain used vanilla and benzoin in their fragrances, and also tonka, since this also has tonka beans. So it does have a bit of an experience like that, but I wouldn't call this a Guerlain fragrance or anything like that. But it's a super delicious amber vanilla fragrance with an overdose of vanilla, benzoin, and of course a tonka bean as well. So this is Vanille-BENJOIN from the house of AFFINESSENCE. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Next, going to the house of GRITTI. This is 1968. So this is the only male targeted release here. The rest of them are, well, no, I shouldn't say that. We've got a few male targeted releases. We have the BRIONI, that's also male targeted. It's a male collection, and I've got another one coming for men as well. But this is a niche house that's targeting to men as well. And typically GRITTI does you know, unisex offerings. But for me, this is a very invigorating, fresh blue type fragrance, giving me reminders of something like Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, and things like that. It's definitely a very aromatic, juicy take on a fougere, but a very modern type of fougere, featuring notes of lavender, Calabrian bergamot, ambergris, blackcurrant, tonka beans, vetiver, musk, green mandarin. You definitely have that barbershop fougere experience, and also the hints of things that are in that kind of blue line of fragrances that are, you know, appropriate for men to wear. That's very popular out there, like Bleu Chanel and the Sauvage type fragrances. But here, with the way that they've created this fragrance, the notes are so invigoratingly alive and almost three-dimensional, whereas some of those other fragrances do have a bit of a synthetic experience. Here, I really like the lavender. It comes alive in the combo of the juiciness of the citruses and, you know, all of the other notes that are combined together. It's also quite long lasting for a type of fragrance that's in that whole blue series type of fragrances. But I think if you're into that kind of a experience, aromatic, fresh, citrusy, fougere type fragrances, definitely try 1968. I think it's going to definitely satisfy. So remember, the code is Sebastian30. It's only until this coming Monday night. Otherwise, normally every time of the year it's Sebastian10. Again, it doesn't work on all of the fragrances, especially Mind Games. But double check to see what it works on. It definitely works on these brands. But moving on to a fragrance house called Plume Impression. This is Royal Bourbon, this one right here. So Royal Bourbon was featured in a mystery box last year. It's one of my favorite fragrances from this house. In fact, it is my favorite fragrance from this house. It's a great take on a boozy fragrance. Lots of licorice here. Cinnamon, ginger, pepper, rum, tobacco, leather, caramel, vanilla, benzoin, amber, and cedarwood. The entire experience, it has a kind of a pumpkin spicy holiday vibe type experience, but you'll notice the tobacco. It's not super smoky. This to me goes a bit more gourmand, and you'll experience the rummy notes and things like that. But the whole idea of the caramel and the cinnamon and vanilla, along with the rum, gives me a very holiday-like vibe, a bit like, you know, like pumpkin spice and things like that. Really super wonderful, great creation from this house, Royal Bourbon. Let me know if you sample that one. But next, we've got a fragrance from the house of PERROY. This is GOLDFAWN. This was also in the recent mystery box. It comes off a bit simplistic, but also the fragrances are not that expensive from this house. It's mostly vanilla with woodsy notes, so it has sandalwood and cedarwood as well. So it has a very creamy, almost ambery type effect when it's drying down, but super milky sandalwood with that sweet, powdery vanilla. Then of course this cedarwood in there as well. So it could be a great fragrance to wear on its own, not super complicated and things like that. It could also be used to layer and boost up other fragrances that you might have that's missing something. So on its own, I think it's a simplistic take on a woody vanilla, very creamy woody vanilla. But again, it can also be used to boost or prime other fragrances. This is PERROY's GOLDFAWN. Let me know if you sampled that one from the mystery box. And then one more men's designer fragrance. This is CONTINUUM from the house of TUMI. Still my favorite from this house, and they've launched quite a bit of fragrances. What I like about this one is it's a great take on the tobacco with leathery touches, for sure ambery touches. And also I get booziness and fizziness from this as well. I like that about it. I really like that, almost like Coca-Cola fizzy, maybe root beer float kind of a thing. But again, it's tobacco leaves, suede, musk, amber, incense, orris, cistus, oud, green mandarin. Really a great designer fragrance, a great men's fragrance, and again, still my favorite from this house. I love wearing it. I love the warm ambery touches, of course, and all that kind of Coca-Cola fizzy booziness that's in here. So it makes for a really wonderful wear and one of the best men's designer fragrances out there on the market. So this is CONTINUUM from the house of TUMI. Let me know if you're a fan of that one, and have you found a better TUMI fragrance? Probably not everybody's going to enjoy CONTINUUM. I really enjoy these kind of warm fragrances. But the next fragrance was also featured in the latest mystery box. It's Ylang d'Or by Maison du Roc. Wonderful take on an Ylang Ylang fragrance, very tropical and also floral. It's Ylang Ylang Jasmine Sambac Tuberose with Timur, Sichuan pepper, and pink pepper, and it has warm woods and sensual musk as well. I feel like this is a beach in a bottle, a tropical floral beach where you can experience the smell of the flowers and a bit of a suntan lotion effect or sunscreen effect on, and you're smelling the sea breeze and all that, and the warm sun is kind of like, you know, warming you up under, you know, not under, but next to the beach kind of a thing. It's a really, really great take on Ylang Ylang. Definitely my favorite Ylang Ylang fragrance. If you haven't tried this one, please do. It might appeal to women more, but if you're into the idea of Ylang Ylang, you're going to really love this one. So this is Ylang d'Or from the house of Maison du Roc. And up next, we've got a fragrance created by Dominique Ropion from the house of CARINE ROITFELD. It's CARINE, this one right here. And Dominique Ropion did a great job with this one. In the end, it's a floral combo of gardenia and jasmine with loads of patchouli. What a wonderful and intoxicating combination this is. It's patchouli, gardenia, jasmine, as I said, with pink pepper, vetiver, cashmeran, white amber, and a really delicious wear. It doesn't wear thick and dense, but it has great lingering power. You've got the creamy milkiness of the white flowers against that kind of earthy, sparkly take on a woody note of patchouli. It's heavenly, guys. It's really, really great, and I love the way this fragrance smells on me and how it projects and things like that. If you haven't tried CARINE by CARINE ROITFELD, please do. In fact, somebody came up to me recently and told me about how they discovered this fragrance through my channel and how they really, really love it. So I really, really think it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you like white flowers and patchouli together. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of MIZENSIR. It's CHERE, this one right here. This is a floral take on a vanilla fragrance. It's powdery, creamy, and really super vanillic delicious. So it's bourbon vanilla, exaltone, which is musk, sandalwood, ambrox, which is a woody ambery note, paradisone, which is a jasmine floral note, and then also jasmine sambac. So you have these white floral notes, musky notes, amber woody notes, and then of course the vanilla. And the combo is great. I think who makes this fragrance? It's Alberto Morillas, and he's the king of utilizing these kind of synthetic notes that are to replace other more expensive notes, like, you know, the ambroxan to replace the ambergris, the paradisone and things like that. But I think he did a great job with it. It's, in the end, not a super sugary vanilla. It has been toned down and washed down with all the other notes, but in the end, it's still sweet, but also powdery and definitely very floral, ambery, and musky. So CHERE from the house of MIZENSIR. That's the last fragrance for you guys. And again, this deal goes until Sunday night to take advantage of Sebastian 30. And of course, as I said, these three were recently featured in the latest mystery box. AKIGALA Mandarino, GOLDFAWN, and Ylang d'Or. Those are 30% off as well. Normally, they're offering 10% off, as I said. But if you've got the mystery box and you've got those samples, check them out and enjoy them. This is the time to take advantage of the promotion. But either way, all of the fragrances I spoke about today are at 30% off with Sebastian 30 and a lot more on their website. Just keep in mind, Mind Games is not. But wait, I might have a promotion next week because we did feature Prodigy in the mystery box. And right now, Prodigy is 10% off with the code, but might have a promotion next week, so stay tuned for that. But this promotion runs until Monday night, so it expires after that. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances and also some of the new fragrances and brands I haven't spoken about. What are your thoughts on these brands and houses and fragrances? Add a comment down below. Either way, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.